Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Masters of Reinvention webinar. We have with us over here Neeraj Mediratta, who is the CEO of ACE Data. Very happy to be able to bring this amazing journey that ACE Data has had and Neeraj himself has had over the last many years. And we'll get into it shortly. Before that, I am Shreya Prakash. I'm the co-founder and CEO of FlexiBees. As you may know, FlexiBees is a talent matching and vetting platform for part-time, project-based, and remote work via women professionals. And we like to bring to our ecosystem the startups that we engage with, interesting and informative, knowledgeable conversations with other participants of this ecosystem who we can all learn from. And that brings me to Neeraj and to Ace Data. Now, Ace Data is a data protection service that provides backup operations, recovery, compliance, backup assessment, and cloud based backups to their customers. And of course, Neeraj can talk a little bit more about it. And Neeraj himself is the CEO. So happy to have you here, Neeraj. Welcome to the webinar.
Thanks, Shreya. Thanks. Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you all through this platform.
Great. Great to have you. So, Neeraj, tell us a little bit more about ACE Data and the journey that ACE Data has had from its initial days to now. What are the key differences? What are the key changes that you guys have done in your offerings and otherwise?
So it's been a long journey. Yeah? Like looks like that we started very recently, but we've completed almost 26 years when we started way back in 96, 97. And like the entrepreneurs at that age, the idea was to do something on our own, and we jumped into it. IT was something, so my brother, who's my co-partner or a director in the company, so he was the one who started. So we decided that since it's IT and he was a software program person, so we thought let's do something on our own. And I used to be a medical representative with Wockhardt Pharmaceuticals at that time, and I only knew selling was the only thing which my knowledge levels were. Then I said, why don't we start something, and you be the technical person and I be the sales, and let's see what happens. So being the early age, I'm saying at the age of 2020, around 2021, we never knew how businesses are done. Today I think the new generation, when we see, I guess you guys will fall into that age group. It's relatively easier, but those days, thinking of your own business was more of and you would not hear somebody doing it as a startup. So but that we jumped into it and we said, let's do. I continued working, but then started to help Anuuj, who's my brother. So, and that's where we got a hang of it, that it's, I got into it thinking that it's only about sales, and coming as a traditional sales background, especially being a medical representative, you thought, it's a easier sales. But then, when we took that step in, we realized, no, that's not the way it works. So you need this. So and the journey initially, we had to immediately switch, because we did not have any business background or any such backing. So we had to make the survival. We while Anuj backed a few projects for software development, because of skill and knowledge. But then we realized that to sustain, because I had quit my job, he had just come out of college. So to sustain, we said, let's do something more, and we got into consumables. And because the knowledge level that time was more around software and not around hardware or other stuff, and that's where we got into consumables, then stationery. Because prior to my during my education days, I worked with part-time as a computer stationery manufacturing company. So I had some hang of it. So I thought, I know where to source stuff from. So let me, just to support Anuj in his development side or the technical side, we thought, let me be doing something which I can sell. and that's how the journey began way back in 97, I would say. Company was formed in 96. I got into it in 97, and that's where the sales side of journey started, because till that time it was programming, and
Mm.
uh, that's how it worked. And then very quickly, we started realizing, from consumables, so we used to supply, and thanks to our customers, early day customers, I call Crompton Greaves and my founder organization, because they were the first ones to give us an opportunity to do something. And So that's where, working with very senior folks, so imagine those 60-year-old those days, they were gray hair guys, and they helped us. They said, okay, fine, you want to do this, okay, try supplying us this. And
Mm.
those computers, the department used to be called as EDP, so, and you were required to walk in with whole gear and everything, like you're like walking in an ICU. In fact, in today's time, even ICU, you can walk in just as it. But those days, even in the computer rooms, which are called the EDP
Right.
department, it was difficult.
Yeah.
And then gradually, Crompton Greaves, we started building up, supplying all the consumables to them, be it refilling. And so first order we bagged was refilling of reprint cartridges. I don't know if any of you would have used or know it now, but yes, that used to be there. From there, we understood, and people suggested, okay, why can you do printers? Then we got into printers, and then and so on and so forth. But the major change which came in was in the year 2001, when HP was looking at some partners, and in fact Cisco Systems, the founder of Cisco Systems in India, Mr. Batra,
Mm.
he I don't know what he saw in us, and he said, I'll give you some more meaningful work other than what you're doing, and I want you to make a change from there. And that, I think that was the golden moment for us, because somebody whom we used to supply ribbon cartridges, suddenly says, give me a high-end commercial PC or a server. And that's where, we got in connect with HP, and from there the journey changed. We became HP partners because of that, because HP also saw that we could do, if we could cater to Cisco, then, because Cisco as a customer for HP was also big. So
Mm.
the HP made us a regular partner. So that was our first partnership, beyond the stuffs like printers and UPS and all. And yes, after that, I think we haven't looked back, moving in from uh, PCs to servers to networking. We did almost everything under the IT sun at that time as a system integrator. But the
Mm.
major next level of change came in I would say around 2015, 16, wherein we got into, we specialized into. In fact, we started specializing earlier only, but into only storage. So because data storage as a line of business was another thing which built up after 12, 13. So that is
Mm.
where we decided that instead of diluting ourselves, because being a smaller team, we said, why dilute ourselves? And when you have some specialized service. And the good part for us was that, for all these larger companies like HP or Compaq those days, most of the larger partners they had, they wanted to sell what was selling. And these companies were looking for newer technology, which is somebody who could really carry that new technology to the market and do it. And that, I think, was a blessing for us, because we got into storage, and that's where our identity came into
Mm.
existence. Otherwise, we were more known as consumables, or that kind of a reseller. But then suddenly, we got, so the me and Anuj both acquired, I think, almost close to 6 8 trainings by HP, certifications. So we were both sales and technically certified on very high end
Mm.
compute, and the requirement. And that's where this change came in, which was around 12 13. And yes, from there, we kept on specializing, moving up the ladder. And yes, so then in 2017 we saw that cloud was something which was started to be talked about, and everybody was talking about cloud this. Although all these vendors like Amazon and all were not very very much present in the country. So we had options, to get into different ways of delivering cloud. But then we chose to stay within our line of business, which is storage and backup, because that is where we're known for, and
Mm.
extend to cloud. And I think that's how we shifted to cloud. We started doing our service through Amazon to start with, and
Mm.
I think post that, because of maybe such certain circumstances, even otherwise your line of business, because it's being a smaller company, it's very difficult to focus on niche. So the profitability also becomes very important, that you cannot carry everything, just because you want to do that business. And we created a niche, and we became I think we were the pioneers in the cloud backup as a service in country. And I think we
Mm.
have signed up good marquee clients for that. And yes, that the journey continues. So currently,
Amazing.
our focus is primarily cloud services,
Mm.
which is again data and cloud services, so which includes backup, archival, business continuity, and other allied services around data and cloud.
Yeah. Amazing, amazing. So, of course, I know a little bit about Ace Data from my reading and our interaction. So, from so firstly, from what you said, from consumables to high-end servers and PCs, to storage, and then cloud, and using cloud to really create a pioneering backup as a service model. You guys have had such a brilliant journey and such a brilliant run, and you've literally sort of kept pace with the way that the IT industry has shaped up in this country, right? So your journey is almost the journey of how India has played in the IT frontier across the world. So it's extremely interesting. And now, of course, when I see your website, that's the part where my little bit of prior knowledge comes in. When I see your website, when I hear about your solutions, there is so much customer centricity. You guys have coined your own terminologies and segmentation of different kinds of data. The regularity with which it needs backup, the regularity with which it needs retrieval. And of course, I would urge any potential customers here on this webinar to please go and check them out. Um, so the question around this is, what is it that was the trigger for some of these changes? So the most pivotal change that you guys did was perhaps when you went from being hardware to storage solutions. So what was it that helped you make your mind up that yes, this is what we must do. This is how we must. Was it that you tried it for some time and it really started working, or was it that you went full in because it just seemed the right thing to do?
See, see, I'll tell you, many times this comes in, and I've been, to give you a very honest perspective on this. It's circumstances and the surrounding situations pushed us in, good for us, so we continue to adapt that change. So as I said, I think, when the first part of this journey started, when we got into storage initially, was the time when HP and Compaq came together, and it became a little difficult for people who were closer to HP, and that's where people, senior folks in HP, recommended that, if you really want to, the kind of mindset you both brothers have, it's always good to get into something which many of larger players would not pick up immediately. And that's where we got that window of some time to start looking at technology areas which were, and storage became one of them. And to our credit, I would say we were the very first ones to sell a high-end enterprise kind of storage for HP in India. So
Mm.
that is how, so I would say, it was not by choice, when we were doing that, and this was happening. And then after that, the way, because once you are part of the technology, you keep seeing the market, how it is evolving. And because our initial part of journey was, it was more of ad hoc, I would say, wherein you looked at an opportunity, customer comes and says, can you do this for me? okay sir, give us some time, we will work on this and we'll try and see if we can cater to. And we were mostly successful. That is how we kept on growing from. Otherwise, from a ribbon refilling company to a hardcore cloud services organization, this would not happen with relatively weaker educational backgrounds, and the overall, we come as, middle class Indian family, so that way, we chose this, and we took advice from people, or most of them I call them my mentors. They gave us the directions, and we kept following that. But then, yes, once we got into this line of business, doing networking and servers and storage, we realized that backup was one area which was relatively not given the justice by most of the player, because backup used to be, in the earlier days, when I say, used to be one part of the overall IT. So you will have, like, for example, a company will buy a lot of hardware, storage, servers, PCs,
Mm,
networking, and backup, because which is data was very, very critical, and one would need to,
mm.
protect that. That need started arising, and then we saw that opportunity. Anuj being
Right.
technical, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So Anuj being technical, we saw that, there were not many people. In fact, they started asking Anuj to take care of some trainings and all, and start working on. So from a programmer, he turned into a backup implementation specialist. Uh, in fact, he was one of the sixth guy in the world to know about certain technology which existed at that point, and talking of 2008-9 time frame. So that's where we saw that opportunity, and we said, then why not? And that was really, really helpful, because wherever one would go, because we carried that technical knowledge as well as the uh, product knowledge, customers used to started talking, fairly large customers who would otherwise not even look at us, because from a ribbon supplier, who would talk to you on for a higher technology. And then when people started talking to us, we immediately saw that promise. We said, why not then keep on shaping up further, and acquiring more and more skill. And that's how the turning point was.
Brilliant. So it was a combination of certain external factors and, of course, the kind of landscape analysis to some extent to understand what are the various niches that you guys can play in, and then of course also seeing that opportunity that there was a huge opportunity for storage solutions because nobody else was focusing on it at that point in time. And I think you keep saying, you said now, or over the course of our conversation a few times, that I don't know what this person saw in us, or I don't know what this person saw in us. But it's so clear that you guys. I mean, it's clear to me from even being listener to your story that you had the seize the day mentality. You guys had the aggression to go after say growth and business. And of course, I mean, you must have been great at the execution, and that's why you went from acquiring small customers to much bigger customers.
Yes, so that's where I would say my experience as a medical representative. As medical representatives, we are taught to sell something indirectly. I would say, we sell a medicine by, and I still call myself we, because I can't, you can't take medical rep out of me. Uh, so to say, uh, you as a consumer, you purchase a medicine if a doctor prescribes. You do not buy it directly from the representative.
Yeah,
And there
yeah.
are three levels. Then, you go promote the medicine, uh, sell it to your company sells it to the distributor sells it to chemist. In some cases, even within this, there are two layers. And then the doctor prescribes and somebody buys it. So if you see,
Mhm.
there are five channels, and that is where I credit my whole learning is, because as a young kid, I would say, at the age of 21, I was taught through, and And those days, those trainings used to be, the kind of training I attended for just starting off my medical rep career was a 40-day length training by some best of the best doctors and best of the best marketing professionals. And I think the whole credit goes to that training and that kind of upbringing I had in the uh, market, and
Mm.
it was just for me, if you ask me, it was pretty easier to maneuver this because we were taught, and in medical, it is indirect selling, although there
Mm.
are things which have changed in that line also. But there you're supposed to be a concept salesperson, and being a
Mm.
concept salesperson, you just can't go and sell a product. You have to sell that need, and
Yeah.
that's how that helped us to gain. And then I think the way market grew, and so I would say that the need of customer kept changing.
Mm.
Somebody who was looking at a box at one point today is okay with a cloud service only.
Mm.
And I don't know how many cycles it will go further. So
Yeah.
we sort of I think the another thing which if I look back and while talking to you, I just was thinking that it was maybe agility that we could think and say, probably this line looks like going maybe stagnant or even dead. Today there are a few things which, nobody buys dot matrix printers now.
Mm.
It's all laser
Mm.
printers. There too
Right.
also printing needs have considerably changed. So similarly, so storage also, earlier days it was backup. We were selling large large devices, backup devices, tape devices, CD writers, and all those things, which I don't have customers who still continue to buy them, although there are
Yeah.
customers, but not that way. So taking that taking that chance of shift,
Yeah.
required putting some certain things on a close, because see, you if you want to start something new, would mean that you'll have to start saying no to certain things which you are going,
Yeah.
they would die their own life, but you have to take that early decision to see,
Yeah.
and that is a risk. That risk definitely came up, from a revenue numbers level of X to, minus X, and then going back. So this has been a constant affair, but yeah, that's how life has moved. Yeah.
Yeah, so rich this conversation, because I think what you said about being dispassionate enough to see that what you are currently selling doesn't have the future that you imagined it does. It imagined it did. That is that itself is a huge I think lesson for many of us entrepreneurs to learn. Because many of us, of course, are very passionate about the spaces we work in. And I think it's important to keep that practical and objective mindset at all times.
Yeah.
Great.
So
So,
in
yeah,
entrepreneurship, sorry. So in entrepreneurship, one thing is very important. You should be very open. You can't. I do this business. I do this business. If you get into that mindset, I would call this entrepreneurship turning into a shopkeeper mentality, and that's
mm,
that's where this big because see, if you are not open, you are not listening to your customer, where it is going, then no one else to complain.
absolutely. Yeah, the entrepreneurship journey is all about keeping your ear to the ground and knowing your customer's pulse. Yeah, absolutely. And that brings me to the next question, that while the opportunities are clear and the reasons why you pivoted are clear, there must have been challenges in terms of shifting gears for the business, in terms of preparing yourselves, skill wise, even for, say, a new world. So, what were some of these challenges, and how did you, and your team as well, how did you overcome these challenges?
Uh, See, as far the skill goes, so the one important thing is that we ensured that as entrepreneurs, we kept ourselves up to date to what was happening around, in terms of the knowledge about the technology we are covering, in terms of the different sales and marketing practices, how you engage with the clients. So this is something which is a constant, which is not something that you do once and then after that it doesn't happen. I keep doing trainings all the time, like which include sales trainings also. Despite being a salesperson for almost 35 years now, I still I still continue. I still
Mm.
continue to adapt newer ways of selling, newer skills available. In fact, today we've transformed ourselves completely from a hardcore, coming from medical rep background to a digitally ready. And thanks to
Yeah.
pandemic, I would say this is one good thing pandemic helped us was it gave us that time to sit back, understand, and be ready for the next wave. So today we use end-to-end systems which support us on sales. So all digital sales systems which we run, starting from our core website up until the customer uh, sat survey. So adapting these things are something which it takes time, but then yes, we ensure that we're always up to the edge. Whatever developments are happening, both in terms of customer satisfaction and delivery. And same is the case of technology. So ensuring
Mm.
24 by 7 availability for a client, because one of our early customers, and I wouldn't mind naming him, Mr. Sethi, who's now not there, but he was the CSR head and the IT head for Hero Motocorp. And in our very early conversations, when we they chose us as one of their suppliers. So Hero choosing us for a high end technology was something which even the industry, because being a very small player, you can imagine if everybody and anybody in the industry would have worked for that business, but they chose us. And that was on a promise that, about our delivery and ensuring that, whenever he used to say that whenever I need, I know, if, just a phone call and somebody is available to answer. And I think this is a sentiment which will cut across our clients over the year, because everybody, at least 5 6 of them in different journey cycles voice this. And he used to say data is oil. So and in today's world, if oil can be something which is missing, but if data is not available, and that
Yeah.
data is our business. So the backbone
Yeah.
of our business and for anybody else's business is data. And
Yeah.
so that is how it grew. And acquiring skills as the industry. So me and Anuj both make sure that if there is something new, we acquire that skill for sure. And that helps us training newer people. And this is another thing we do, that we keep hiring a lot of good fresh talent who could really make that difference. So yeah.
Okay.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a simple answer, but it's so. I mean, it's a one-word answer: skilling, or skill yourself. A two-word answer, but it's so difficult when you are in the trenches as an entrepreneur to. Again, it requires a fair degree of being dispassionate, being objective, because you are constantly preparing yourself for a future which looks different from what it looks, currently, and you are making sure that you are part of that future. So yeah, it's a huge, I think it's a big thing. It's very difficult, I would say, as somebody who's also running a business, to do that.
See, in business, there's one blessing in disguise. I would say that you don't have anybody to look up to.
Mm.
You have to lead from the front. And so there's no shortcut, and there is no way one can really say that, okay, fine, somebody else will come and help. No. So and I ever since, all my working life, I would say, you know being proactive is something which I follow. So if
Mm.
we see something, we would say that let's make the mistakes as per our definition, and not get into something. Oh, now
Mm.
what do we do back? And we've seen
Mm.
a lot of people who struggle, when the situation comes in, it's very very difficult to roll back, or take those
Yeah.
changes. So we try, and one learning or one experience I have it. So some mentor would have said about 15, 20 years back that challenge the status quo, and do it proactively. I think that's the core
Yeah.
underlying factor which has helped us stay afloat. We've had
Yeah.
a fair share of bad times or difficulties, but then challenge the status quo and is what we do it
Yeah.
proactively. That
Proactively. Yeah. That's made all the difference. No, it's something that I'm definitely going to take back from this conversation. We have a couple of questions, so which are in a similar space. So I think we can talk about it now. So Deepa asks, great growth story. Did each of the new businesses require a different level of investment, and how did you decide the risk return trade off? And Sanjana asks, how to find people who support your vision inside and outside your company, especially when you are in the process of reinventing.
That's one of the toughest part. And I would say, if I was to say what's the sad story out of this, is that, you know see, as far what Deepa says, different levels when you are doing, it requires a lot of effort in the sense of acquiring skill, going back to the customer, and trying to uh, really make sure. But then it became a little easier for us after a while, because the industry looks at us as a mindset, that yes, if these guys have laid their hands on, definitely, it is difficult, because in every cycle the competition changes, and the competition is it becomes even more stiffer or more difficult. But yes, it does matter, and so I have to say, you stay on course is what has been, rather than thinking all over the place. Just do what you can do the best, and then things start falling in place.
Mm.
Yeah. What was
Yeah.
the second question from Sanjana?
How to find people who support your vision, and
Yeah.
especially when you're reinventing.
No, so that's where I said this saddest part of it. And what we've done is that every now and then we had to really, because when people get trained, and especially just post pandemic, it was the most difficult time, I would say, that everybody who was fully trained by us done, but they immediately post pandemic, when the job market uh, kind of exploded, so everybody started to look around. So how we have managed, and I think we are in that cycle again right now. So we always ensured that if we have a need for, say, 30 people or 40 people, we'll have at least 5 or 7, depending on that, about 20 to 25% bench, which is,
Mm.
which is always like a factory. So we had a lot of trouble, wherein, where do you get skill from, how do you do it? But then we said, no educational institute in the country teaches somebody the way our business is. There are
Mm.
so many engineering colleges mushrooming all over the country, but then do these guys come with specialized knowledge of space? So we ensure that there is a bench which is about 20 to 25% of our overall strength, and they run into like a factory. So,
Mm.
from a initial sort of, those interns, to moving into level ones, level two, level threes, and we ensure that we maintain this cycle, so that there's always the delivery quality doesn't compromise, and plus
Mm.
building a lot of systems and processes about delivery. And
Mm.
that is where it helps, because once you have set the process based around customers requirements, then at least you ensure that delivery doesn't get impacted. There are times when the situation arrives, and that's where our own technical know-how and knowledge, and still, in fact, just about 3 days back, there was a client situation, and being in data, it could be any time. I think
Mm.
Anuj was up for till about 6:30 a.m. And I see him doing it every now and then, because he makes sure that the hand holding happens. And
Mm.
retaining talent is definitely a difficult part. Whomsoever gets trained 2 3 years 4 years with us, I think bigger guys, so most of people who got trained by us get acquired, so initially we used to be very agitated, but
Mm.
now we, I think we've chosen this life of training new skills. So let it be a training business come delivery business, and I think that works, because initially it used to be that somebody works with you, and he or she gets poached, then one would say, oof, now what to do again. But then that bench criteria started to work for us, and
Mm.
that's one good thing we did. It is a little extra cost, I would say, but then it's like a factory, so
Mm.
the product. So once the product gets completely, the engineers after 4 years they are good enough, then they have huge open market to be poached. And
Mm.
most of our people, when I keep hearing, I don't know them personally because engineers mostly are in touch with Anuj, are TCS or Wipro or Infosys, even internationally.
Mm.
So that gives us a good comfort also, that at least people are
Yeah.
doing well
Yeah.
as they move on. Uh,
Yeah.
Difficult at times for us, especially when these breaks come in, when the overall cycle doesn't move. But that's part of journey. 25 years, if you still keep getting bogged down because of these things, I think
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Yeah. Good. You've resigned yourself to it, and you're seeing the positives of it. Definitely.
there's no other way. So so the advantage we have, that we are two brothers. We can
Yeah.
always wash the dirty linen within ourselves and move on. So we don't have to we don't need a third person to help us do that. So that's
Yeah.
advantage situation. Yeah.
So on the subject of talent, I know that you hired from FlexiBees. So how has that experience been for you?
No, given our kind of business and model and whatever we discussed, this has come as a great support, I would say. Reason that, one, the kind of people we get from FlexiBees are trained, so we don't need to. The learning cycle is not that long. You just need to tell them what product, what kind
Mm.
of uh, vision you have for different. I think we have some 7 or 8 people right now. So it is more of, because uh, if I compare pre-pandemic days, when it was regular hire, you would not get these level of experience and
Mm.
knowledge people joining a company of our size.
Mm.
That's a big plus. So today we get sort of a think tank, or people who are really supportive in building.
Mm.
So and that has helped me execute certain things faster than the way I would have done in a pre-pandemic
Mm.
time.
Amazing. And 7, 8 people, actually, even I didn't know this, that you've hired 7 or 8 folks from us. That's amazing. Very happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Thank you for that, Neeraj. And I think thank you for your faith in us. And in this case, also, I think you guys are, pioneers in a way, because it's something that is, uh, it's a burgeoning. It's something that's coming into shape now. Flexible hiring and being, working with folks who are working in different kinds of ways than what earlier people used to work. So yeah, thanks for being a champion and a visionary here too.
No, I would say I should thank you guys, because as entrepreneurs, the way your model comes in is a big support. And especially during these tough times of pandemic, wherein finding PLN, getting them back to office. I think I never followed this model of, because pandemic we had a very difficult time middle of it, because when
Mm.
getting the work done, all those. So we had to make a lot of adjustment, because one thing we ensured that we don't compromise on the customer experience, and
Mm.
to ensure that, it was really tough. But then seeing the kind of models you proposed, wherein at the onset only we are going to have people work from home, and
Mm.
and with that level of maturity and
Yeah.
uh, involvement, I think it's you're doing a great job, and this helps
Thank
companies
you.
outside should definitely look at these models, because it is difficult to acquire talent of this level and maturity and experience,
Yeah.
uh, work full time with you. So I think this is definitely, you definitely be a great support to us as an organization.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, what next for Ace Data?
Oh, so I would say we would have, minus the pandemic, we would have gone global. But yes, definitely it has slowed down a bit. So the kind of service we are into, uh, we cover length and breadth, in the sense, when it comes to data. So there are cycles, which is the time when it gets created to the time when it is actually in full time use to the time when it is to purged, and then following up the compliance procedures and the long term. So we have products and services around this, from the end to end cycle of data, from the time it gets generated to the time it gets destroyed. So
Mm.
uh, and this is one area of business which will never go down, because data will
Mm.
not
Yeah.
lose, at least if something completely breakthrough comes in, is very difficult. And there's a huge market ahead of us by
Mm.
now. Otherwise we would have been global, but pandemic, just pre-pandemic, we had started some activities. Even today we have customers outside of India, but we will
Mm.
definitely step ourselves out of India for sure very soon.
Amazing. And I hope that happens and that happens really soon. Uh, as we wind up, what are two, three things that you would say entrepreneurs should keep in mind, especially if they, see themselves as in it for the long term?
Okay, so when you say for the long term, I would say that, I don't know, two, three things. There could be many, but then one thing which immediately comes to my mind when you ask this is that, times will, there will be good times, there will be bad times. So as an entrepreneur, it's a chosen journey. It's supposed to be a chosen journey. One should not get into it just because it looks like. You've chosen a life, and once you've done it, whatever may be the circumstance or situation, stay on course. I
Mm.
think that has worked for me, and I'm sure a lot of people who would have experienced will say the same. So uh,
Yeah,
I don't know, and then there could be many jargons,
they could
adjectives.
be.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
this is something. Just stay on course. Don't
yeah,
get, yeah, don't. So
yeah. And
there's a famous poem by Dr. Harivansh Rai Bachchan, so which says, "Raha pakad tu ek chala chal pa jayega madhushala." So I think I very strongly live with that philosophy, and that works.
wonderful. It shows, I think, the way that you guys have built the company and the way that you've kept in step with the times, taken everything in your stride. I think it's so inspirational. And I myself am going to take away from this conversation this, of course, the fact that you keep your eye on the goal and keep going, but also that prepare yourself for the future and be proactive. I think that's invaluable, wisdom for an entrepreneur to have. Thank you so much, Neeraj, for your time and for coming and sharing with us your journey. And I absolutely loved my conversation with you. And I'm sure that all of our audience who's watching it or will watch it later will have a lot to think about after listening to your journey.
No, it's been a pleasure, Shreya. Thanks for giving us this opportunity to be there. So and for a nice work. You are a backbone to our business today. So I would say,
Thank you. Thank you so much, Neeraj.
my pleasure. Yes.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.